The Uniparty, or the America Last coalition, is united. Sadly, they are united against us. On Friday, I noted how the GOP, when they are in the minority, they claim they are helpless. When we gave them the House and control the purse strings, they claimed they were helpless to stop Senate and White House Democrats. Then we gave them the House, the Senate, and the White House. Now they claim they're still helpless because they don't have a 60-vote threshold in the U.S. Senate. But then it hit me. The Democrats had just as thin of margins and were able to unleash hell on the United States of America. How? Well, if you look at the voting records, Democrats rarely vote with Republicans, but an alarming number of Republicans will always betray their voters and their professed ideals to vote with Democrats. The GOP never calls out their betrayers because it's politics, don't you know? In contrast, Elon Musk had one goal, not to eliminate government, but to streamline it, make it harder for the abuse of taxpayer dollars. He undertook this mission with no partisanship or rancor. Just looking at the numbers and the corruption, what he found was a fat federal government that had grown beyond the consent of the governed, enriching cronies, foreign enemies, and terrorists, instead of that money going to the purpose it should have been dedicated to, the American people. Thank you, Elon Musk. That's my focus in today's preamble. Even though our people are praising Elon Musk for putting us, rather than an abusive government, first, the swamp in Washington isn't at all pleased. @Amuse on X points out that Joseph Lonsdale, an American entrepreneur and venture capitalist, is saying that in the last 130 days, the time of Elon's temporary government status, his team cut more than $150 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse. A $3 trillion value based on the government's cost of capital. Musk has said if DOGE can get any kind of support from elected politicians, they could save $1 trillion taxpayer dollars. If successful at cutting that $1 trillion, they will create $20 trillion in value for taxpayers. Taxpayers are the only important people in this conversation, those who are paying the freight. If only our so-called representatives would get on board.
It is someone else's money being spent on people you don't know. And that's how federal spending is. And then you can't really even blame the individuals, because the way the government works is complaint minimization. So when you do try to, when someone within the government tries to stop money being spent, there's usually someone that complains. And then their manager will say it's not worth the trouble, just pay it anyway. That happens over and over again.
Yeah, and we get screwed. Let's take a look at the reconciliation bill offered by Republicans. Budget reconciliation, by the way, is a special procedure in the U.S. Congress that allows certain legislation to pass with a simple majority, bypassing the usual 60-vote requirement in the Senate. It is primarily used to expedite budget-related legislation and is governed by specific rules. Now, those rules typically are designed to make sure that American taxpayers get hosed and that the government never has to prioritize or behave as grown-ups. For example, the Byrd Rule, introduced by a Democrat racist and former Grand Dragon in the KKK, Robert Byrd. The rule restricts provisions that do not directly affect federal spending or revenue. The United States is $37 trillion in debt. That number is projected to climb to $46 trillion in less than 4 years, according to the U.S. debt clock. The reconciliation bill does nothing to stop that. In fact, it could get us to $46 trillion in debt faster. The primary drivers of U.S. debt include Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Millions of illegal aliens were found to have been recently added to the rolls of these American entitlement programs. These programs were never supposed to go to foreign illegal aliens, but under leftists, they did, according to discoveries from Elon and DOGE. The reconciliation rules allowed the GOP to change entitlement funding, allowing Congress to enact significant changes to programs like Medicaid, SNAP, and Medicare, but they didn't. Outside, for example, work requirements to Medicaid, the Republicans trimmed $700 billion in Medicaid over a decade. Over 1 million illegal aliens on Medicaid right now as we're speaking. Seems to me to be the proposed deductions are the proverbial drop in the bucket. The Republicans could have used the reconciliation process to make adjustments to overspending that impacted all of these wasteful and abused programs directly. Much needed reform could have been imposed on government, a government that's on autopilot. But they didn't. Even after DOGE and Elon showed the entire country how these programs are thoroughly corrupt and that nobody is minding the store. That's not what I voted for. Elon Musk laid it all out there, took time away from his businesses, savaged by dishonest leftists, his dealerships torched and destroyed, and at the end of the day, certain key Republicans showed their love and devotion for socialist Democrats and big corrupt government by doing nothing to remedy the massive abuses uncovered by Musk. The Babylon Bee put it best with a headline that will make you laugh and probably make you wince too. Quote, Elon Musk leaves job of making government more efficient for much easier job of sending humans to Mars. End quote. Gotta love the bee. And in that one satirical headline, we have it shown that even the richest man in the world was no match for a government that has sold out its people to corruption and decadence. So thank you, Elon Musk, for what you tried to do. My hope is our people, the only ones who can really do anything about this nest of vipers we call government, I hope they decide we need to take things from here. You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.